Western Washington, every year Food Lifeline feeds well over 500,000 people. But we know that in the event of an emergency or a disaster or pandemic flu, the number of people who rely on our system is very much likely to increase, and could increase pretty significantly. So in the event of a disaster or an emergency, any disruptions in the flow of food really have a significant impact on our ability to serve the community. We really want to look ahead and try and be prepared ahead of time so that we know what to do in the event that we need to do it, instead of trying to figure it out in the moment amongst all of the chaos. One of the things that's good news about this kind of planning is that it's not hard. And it's not important that your preparedness plans be difficult or long or complex. They just need to be well thought out. You know, a really great place to start for emergency preparedness planning is to make sure that your own staff members are prepared in their own households. Every person in your organization needs to know how to make themselves and their own household prepared in the event of an emergency, and they need to understand how their work responsibilities would shift and change in the event of an emergency, so that they know what they would be doing. They're cross-trained to help the organization maintain all of its core functions, and they are ready and prepared to step into those roles in the event of an emergency. We want to think ahead about communications and the way that we would get the word out, both internally to our own staff, but also externally to our stakeholders. We're working to create communications plans and sample documents, sample direct mail appeals, sample press releases, so that when a disaster does hit, all of those templates are already prepared, and all we need to do is fill in the pertinent information so we can get those things out the door, and we don't have to start from step one. An organization's website is one of your main external communications tools, and if in the event of a disaster or a pandemic flu, you can't access that website remotely and make the kinds of changes or revisions to that website, then one of your key communications pieces is going to be down and become less of a resource to the community. So a good thing to work into your preparedness planning is developing the capacity to remotely access and revise those websites so that you can keep them updated and ensure that both your own internal stakeholders, your employees, your volunteers can get key information from them, but also the community that you serve and the community that can contribute to your organization. Several months ago, we had an experience at Food Lifeline where a horrible flu went through one department. It was a great opportunity for us to really come to terms with how well had we cross-trained people in that department. How well were we able to keep the function of that department moving and serving the community. So even just on a day-to-day basis, if you're mindful of an emergency preparedness mentality, then you can apply the things that you're experiencing to your preparedness processes. Our emergency planning can't just be for our own organization as a standalone entity. Our emergency planning has to take into account all of those relationships and interdependencies. Make those partnerships with other key partners in the community ahead of time so that you're ready when a disaster hits and you're not trying to reach out and make those partnerships in the moment. And then, what are the ways that you as an organization can exercise leadership in your community, or how you as your organization's leader can step up to the plate and get your organization ready and going in the event of a disaster? As a leader of your organization, it's your responsibility to make sure that your company can do its core functions on behalf of the community today when we're not in an emergency circumstance, but even more importantly, tomorrow in the event of an emergency.